Firstly, I'd like to introduce myself. My name's George, and I'm a skills advisor at Buckinghamshire Business First. I'm part of the workforce skills team, supporting businesses with their skills, training, and recruitment needs, including apprenticeships. Um, BBF is also the employer representative body for the area, working on the local skills improvement plan and helping to ensure that post-16 technical education and training needs meets the needs of businesses, helping learners to gain the skills they need to secure good jobs and supporting the economic growth across the county. As we begin to start the full power hour now, I'm going to hand over to my colleagues with the Buck Skills Hub, Marina and Jill, who will take you through their activity within the future skills space.
Thank you, George. I just wanted to give you a little bit of background to the Skills Hub if you haven't come across us already. We work with 50 schools across the county, state-maintained secondary schools, of which some are grammar schools, non-selective schools, SEND schools, PRUs, college, UTC. So all of that group is included in the work that we do. And we look to connect our businesses with our schools in order to help young people and support the future talent pipeline of those businesses. Our aim is that the schools are delivering 21st century careers education for everyone, everywhere. The Careers Hub is focused on continuous improvement, which is a commitment to ongoing development and raising standards, raising aspirations and work readiness in helping young people feel confident, motivated and prepared for the world of work, positive destinations with equity for everybody, ensuring every learner has access to good next steps regardless of their background, understanding of the labour market and the growth sectors and pathways, so building awareness of local opportunities, future skills needs and clear career routes. And we're committed to supporting employers, strengthening employer engagement and ensuring businesses have support to interact with young people. Sorry, just moved on a little bit too quickly there. To enable us to achieve these priorities and in line with the government's ambition of work experience, we would like to now introduce Klaus Allian from Ant Telecom, who will share his own experiences of offering work experience. Klaus, over to you.
Brilliant. Thank you very much, Marina. Hello, everyone. Good news is you're not going to see the video of me yet, because I will be disappearing before that's gonna play. I want to talk to you a bit about work experience and helping students with kind of like the probably first step into the world of work and why we're doing it. And furthermore, it would actually be great if all of you would consider. So why? I mean, first and foremost, back when I was young, around 15, 16 years, as far as I remember, I was obviously growing up in Germany, and it wasn't a question of not doing it. I worked every year, not just 1 year at my dad's work. I found it extremely great back then, and what I can see when students come to us for the work placement, you know, to put it probably a little bit provocative, they come in scared and they leave inspired. They come in not really knowing how to smile and how to talk, and they leave us after having done a presentation in front of their schools, potentially in front of customers, in front of a larger audience if we can arrange it, and they take away massive confidence. I think it's also good if you think about if you ever employed someone young or probably offered a work placement, if those young people come into your offices and they engage with you, if you then try and put yourself into the position to offer them a job, you do very quickly realize there is quite a bit of a gap in what I would say their soft skills and their readiness to work that we as businesses need to address. And if we start early addressing it, it helps the students and it helps us, if that makes sense. By the way, if any of you have questions, please raise your hand. I need George's and Marina's help in order to interrupt me. But if we make it an engaging two-way conversation rather than a one-way, that would be absolutely fine. I'll probably start with the reasons why a lot of companies probably won't do work placements at the moment. And I can see that quite clearly because I have this struggle at my work. When I first started to approach our team and said, let's offer work experience. So we are a small team. Most of us are working remotely, especially after COVID. It's a bit of a struggle to get people into the offices. And one of the challenges I was asked or was faced with at the very beginning when I presented the idea of hosting students was the question, what are we going to do with them? We don't have anything we can do with them. And we want to make it engaging and inspiring, but you know, we can't use them in the day-to-day work, the students, because they haven't got the experience. So they just going to be bored. So the way we address that is, number one, for the students to get into the office, be there, is already a benefit because they see how we interact with each other. They shadow when we are doing the work, and they pick up things already from just being there. Now, clearly that's not enough, but I find it now relatively easy to develop some form of projects. So to give you an example, one year we just had launched wireless condition monitoring sensors. And I happened to have an inquiry from a school probably 6 months before we did the next work placement. And they wanted to have those sensors in their catering facilities, in the fridges and the freezers. We went there, we demonstrated it, we put a little bit of a presentation together for them and a little report. So my idea for the work placement for the next cohort of students, two people from High Coast Academy, was to simply tell them, you're going to approach your catering facility. We obviously prepared that beforehand with the school. You're going to come into our offices. We teach you a little bit how the system works, how you set it up. And then we basically ask you, that was on the third day, to go to the school, speak to the catering department, get there early before we come, and start setting the system up the way you've learned it. So the students had to understand the system. They had to communicate with the school. They had to turn up there in time with all the gear. They had to talk to them exactly what they're going to do and how they're going to do it, and not be in the way of general operations in the school. And they did all that. We helped them a little bit. They then left the equipment there. The temperature sensors in the fridges and freezers, they monitored over a period of 24 hours. Students went back, picked it back up again. In the meantime, prepared a presentation. And on the Friday, the end of the week, we arranged for the deputy head, the careers lead, to be present, on us, of course, to be present in school, where they then presented their findings. So when the students came in on a Monday and we explained that to them, one of the first things I had to tell them is, when you speak to people, smile, because when you smile at people, people smile back. That makes you feel good. That makes them feel good. You'll have a much better atmosphere in the room. So little things like that are extremely useful tips. They struggled really to present themselves very well. On the Friday after the presentation, both the careers lead and the deputy head were telling me they didn't recognize the students. They absolutely were blown away by the way they delivered their presentation. I was blown away because we've been selling that type of system for probably the best part of 18 months. And they came up with a slide which we haven't even considered to put into our slide deck. They did some research, and it was brilliant. It enhanced our presentation and our way to sell the system. I hope that makes a bit of sense. That anyone any questions at the moment? I can't see any hands up because my screen is not big enough. Okay. I hope the challenge resonates with you as well. So what I'm trying to say, number one, it's not too difficult to find something for the students to do. To give you examples, we always have some new features in our equipment. That means you're going to have to test it. That means you're going to have to do some screenshots. You're going to have to do to update your training material. Students are well capable of doing these kind of things. Secondly, sometimes sometimes you can think of maybe presenting yourself in front of one of your customers in a different light. So I told you the example about the school. Nothing came of it, but there is a potential, obviously. On another work placement, we approached one of our customers, a research facility near Oxford. Told them, quite frankly, we've got workplace students. We want them to experience a real customer environment. We need to schedule a review meeting anyway. Can we bring them along? That was all organized. Everything was fine. Up until the moment we turned up at this research facility and realized that the students were too young. They hadn't had a driving license. We didn't think about asking them to bring the passport, but their security is very high. So we had to get them through security. Luckily, we bumped into the head of security, which we know, and he got us through. So that was a brilliant experience for the students, because not only were they seeing what we were doing, they were also seeing what our customers are doing. And we tasked them to do a little report on the visit. We then asked them to do a presentation about how we interacted with this customer, what the customer thought about our solution, and a little bit about the solution. Again, they presented at the end of the week. And that was the work placement, Marina, when we also organized the roundtable discussions where we had MPs, the head of the sixth form from the school, and those two students had to stand up and present, but also sit around the table with the MPs, with the head of year 6, with us, to have a conversation about work placements, what they got out of it. And apart from one of our apprentices having to nudge one of the students from time to time because he was joking about, they presented themselves very well, I thought. And I think, Marina, you did something with them afterwards also, with Nomad and Khalil, where you invited them to a separate meeting, where again they had to present. By the way, those guys were 15 years old, so kids really. But I thought they learned a lot.
And their own feedback would, they came to me after. So we invited them to our annual conference to speak about their experiences of work experience. And, they said they would never have been able to talk to adults in that way prior to the experience. So, I think it had a profound impact on them.
Yeah, and that's the experience we do make, because guess what? They like being at work. It's different from school. They operate as we operate in a completely different way. They have a bit of freedom within in boundaries to do the task the way they want to do it. And it's a different experience to school, and they do like it. So it's also good for us to kind of see these little developments in them and get positive feedback afterwards, and then you've done something good for them, for the school, and eventually for one of us, because these guys will turn up at your business, at our business, anyone else's business, and they are a little bit more ready, and leave you a little bit less to do. So it's good all in all. So just continuing with the benefits, sometimes you can present yourself in a slightly different light with customers, potentially encourage customers as well to consider work placements. You can open a door and have the students present your solution to someone who may not know about it. We had one work placement where we got Daniel to host our stand, to man our stand at the skills show. And then the other thing also quite important, I think, is it allows you to delegate looking after the students to other people in the business who may learn from doing that some essential skills, leadership skills, organizational skills, simply the skill to deal with people who are not your usual employees, who come obviously very young, not quite equipped with the skills we would expect in employees to have, and you're going to have to manage to turn that around. You develop coaching skills, and we have used for the last work placement. Well, I say used. We have delegated the looking after the students and lots of the organization to our young apprentices, and they've done a brilliant job with it, and they could see the frustration sometimes. I remember one of our guys, Rafi, came to me and said, I can't deal with it anymore. The one guy's always joking, and the other guy, I'll have to drag the words out of their noses. So he saw the challenges in that. But then again, I think Rafi did also a brilliant video for you guys, where he was explaining the pain and the joy he went through when looking after Nomad and Khalil. And by the way, we've now got I think Creswick School, Highcrest. I work as an enterprise advisor, and Misbourne School. I think they approached us this year already for work placements. We already got two students signed up for a work placement. The way we do it when we get these approaches, we have a couple of people, one of which is one of our apprentices, to do a short Teams conversation with them. And then because we have more than what we can cope with, we then select what we feel are the right students for us, and where we feel we are the right organization for them, we then select them and offer them a placement, and we'll find a project to do for them. So I think that's what I really wanted to explain, and I think we've left a little bit of time for questions if you do have any questions. The more questions you ask, the least likely it is that you have to see the video, by the way. So.
So we generally try and bring our customers into play. We try and see whether we can organize for the students to go and see a customer. And generally always, we want them to experience how life and at work really is. Since we are using our young apprentices to actually look after the students and be their main focal point, they do an amazing job because they can relate to them. So one of the key things is get your young people involved in it.
During this week, I've been focusing on improving their professional behaviour, and we also had a little project on Friday that they had to present. In the students, I've seen a massive difference all around, just how they interact with people, how they communicate. I think it's vital for students to do work experience because it just builds their life skills, and even if they don't end up working in a highly professional environment, things like communication, teamwork is something that they'll need just throughout their life anyway.
The main differences I can see in the students from when they arrive to when they go is they grow in confidence. It's unbelievable. Their communication skills suddenly improve so much. The way they behave, their body language, everything you need, those soft skills you need in business. So my advice to other businesses, number one, it's just do it. It's worth it. Number two, if you have younger members in your team and you want them to experience and learn responsibility for others, leadership qualities, then get them in charge. And then I think also I learn a lot from young people. We do understand that we need to communicate with that generation in a slightly different way in order to engage. So there is only positives. Would I host students again? 100% yes.
If you've got any questions, we're very happy to answer them. But I think it's really great to hear from somebody who puts all this into practice and sees benefit on both sides. So it's about helping the young people, but also it's about developing within your organisation and making sure that we have got a future talent pipeline. I think I'm going to move on, because I think we might have lost Klaus. I'm going to move on. Okay, so just wanted to talk to you about Buckinghamshire and the misconceptions sometimes that we've got around our county. So everybody, says, "Oh, Buckinghamshire, we're all good. It's such an affluent county and so close to London. How can there be any skills gaps? How can there be any problems in that system?" Well, we've got over 14% of all students who are eligible for free school meals. That's nearly 3 times the national average of 2.4%. That means we've got young people out there who are disconnected from both learning and work at a critical stage of their lives. we have got those distinct pockets of deprivation, and they're the pockets that we target as part of our work. Although we're working very closely with all 50 schools in the county, we particularly concentrate on those pockets. So if you're not aware of the acronym NEAT, Not in Education, Employment and Training, 17% of 16 to 17-year-olds in Buckinghamshire are not in education, employment or training, which is quite a lot. According to the local employer skills survey, only 36% of graduates were considered very well prepared for their first job, while 13% were rated poorly prepared. Employers cite shortages in complex and analytical skills, operational skills, and even basic skills. So we clearly have got some work to do across this agenda. This graph shows the predicted changes in labour market requirements for the next 10 years. The trends in labour demand enable us to see where future jobs lie. This is due to replacement roles because of retirement and career changes, in addition to new jobs created. We need to ensure that young people make choices that support the local economy to fill this increased demand. So you can see here, business and other services is forecast to have the largest labour demand up to 2035. This includes sectors such as professional services, IT, media science, financial services, arts and entertainment, business services, and personal services. Non-marketed services on the right there refers to health, social care, and other public sector roles such as police, defence, and education. So again, we're looking at those. I'll just give you a second to just look at that graph. So moving on. Across Bucks, employers are dealing with a number of familiar skills issues. There's a gap between the skills businesses need and the skills people have, which makes recruitment harder. Bringing new talent into the area is tough because of things like because of things like housing costs and travel. And we also often lose skilled people to bigger cities or university. So we know that young people will leave Buckinghamshire to go to university, and that's absolutely fine. But we would need to make sure they know to come back. They know that there are opportunities here for them to come back. With so many small businesses in the region, training can also be a challenge, meaning staff aren't always as proficient as employers need. As a result of the work from the LSIP, we've produced this model, this work readiness model, which has been shaped by employer feedback gathered through that LSIP process. And it identifies essential skills, behaviours and attitudes young people need to enter the workforce confidently and productively. This interpretation aligns with repeated employer concerns about young people's preparedness for work, including the need for more structured work experience and stronger employability skills. Jill, over to you.
Failure in terms of not taking me off mute, sorry. So I think everything you've heard from Klaus, and thanks ever so much, Klaus, for your sort of honest description, I guess, in terms of sort of how you've engaged with students. And then I think Marina has just shared sort of the context, the economic context, but also some of the challenges that we've actually got. So I think, you know, when you look at all of that context, it absolutely is time for change. We can't keep going with where we are. We know we've got sort of challenges in terms of pipeline around recruitment with sort of the growth sectors that we have. And we know, even from sort of speaking with employers, speaking with schools, we know that young people aren't getting enough experiences of the workplace, whether that's placement or just getting a feeling of what it's like to be in a workplace. And we also know, as Marina's just touched, you know, a lot of our employers are small, and therefore probably feel they face bigger challenges in terms of being able to deliver a program of work experience. And I think the other thing as well, sometimes, and we've certainly heard this as we've sort of spoken to both students and employers and educators, if for example, if a student has never got an idea they want to work in a nursery setting, why in a way would it be beneficial for them to go and work experience in a nursery setting? Now, you could argue there's a lot of other skills that they'll develop as doing that, but in a way might not be as inspirational as we'd like it to be if that student was thinking, I don't know, a career in the space sector, for example. So we're moving on really in terms of where now we're moving to with the new government work experience promise, or you might have heard of it as around the government sort of work experience guarantee. I think moving into sort of this slide, I think a few things to just touch on. We're very aware across sort of our student community, you'll have students who have the network through their parents to be able to get work experience opportunities. But then we also know that a number of students just don't have that. So we need to make sure that as part of this new model, it delivers equity so all students are able to sort of gain access in relation to it. We also know around the quality side, we need to make sure really we have a benchmark of what good looks like in terms of that experience both for the employer and for the student. And I think the one thing we would say with this, and it touches on how the model has been developed by government and its guarantee, it needs to be inspirational. I've touched on that before, but we really need to be getting young students, years 7, years 8, thinking about, before they're making their choices around their options at school, what kind of career would suit them and what kind of career are they interested in. So what you'll see with the new vision is that government has indicated they're developing the model of 2 weeks worth of work experience, and that's been the label that has landed and everybody has thought about. But the important thing is it's broken down into 2 sectors, if you want to call it that. The first sort of 5 days worth, weeks worth, is when it's in the younger year groups at school, and again touching on the inspirational piece, it's about those students getting opportunities to experience what a workplace is and what it might entail, and also what that career might look like for them in the future if that's the decision they choose to go. And the important thing at that age group is giving them multiple experiences so they can start to get a feel of, oh, quite like that, quite like to get involved in that, and just starting to sort of open their minds, I guess, around all of the different sort of careers that are out there. There's a huge myriad of careers, but yeah, the idea of in the earlier stages is for not long placements, for could be just a workplace visit that they do as a group, but just to get them sort of a bit of an idea. And I think the main thing here in terms of the 2 words to pull out of the first 5 days worth is multiple and varied, so they really do get a good flavour. And then it leads on to the second 5 days, which is more what employers would probably view and educators as more of the traditional placement approach, where a student goes and, as Klaus described with us earlier, actually goes and work shadows and does, sort of spends a few days within a workplace environment to really get the feel and really develop their skills in relation to it. You may have heard the word Equalex, and the whole idea of Equalex, which is sort of supports this particular model, and it's been developed by the Careers Enterprise Company, supporting the government sort of work experience vision. We really need to, and touching on it again, we really need to make sure there's consistent quality in terms of what those experiences are for the students, but we also need to make sure, back to this equity, that it's fair and inclusive for all students, all mainstream students, all students that from the establishments Marina's mentioned, you know, whether it's alternative provision or whether it's SEND provision. We really need to sort of make sure it's appropriate for all. Next one, Marina, if that's okay. I think just to highlight before going to this one, at the moment it is just a government vision, and we have been given collectively, the whole system has been given this sort of idea that we need to get ready for this vision. Government have talked about developing a policy. We're not quite sure when, although they've indicated it could be springtime, where they will be developing this vision into a policy. But we're in this space at the moment, as they call it, of readying the system. And I think I sort of view it as a bit of a triangle. We have the educators, so the schools and the institutions, mixed in with that with the students. We have the employers, and then we have the hub, the skills hub, where we're trying to sort of hopefully join those sort of corners of the triangle together. And I think one of the things that's been picked up is this is one of the biggest changes to the work experience approach for over a decade. So, you know, this is going to require quite a lot of change from all of us, both in terms of infrastructure and structure in terms of how we do this, but also culture as well. So to support this, and hopefully you may have heard of this in some of the information that's been shared out to date, there's a whole sort of national campaign around Let's Make It Work, and there's an awful lot of resources. Just highlighted a couple here. I believe it's tomorrow, so there's already one podcast that the CEC have on their website. And it's really useful. It had a number of different people on the podcast sort of sharing experiences, sharing what they think is required to sort of move towards this new approach. And there's another one dropping tomorrow, which hopefully will sort of build on the momentum of the first one. But there is significant stuff going on at the moment as part of both the national campaign and then what we're looking to do locally as well, just so everybody has awareness. You know, it's really important that we're able to share things as Klaus has shared with us. Sometimes it's fear of the unknown that stops us actually getting into these things. Next one, Marina. So this one really is just to sort of re-emphasize again, there are a whole number of ways that employers can get involved. And I think, as you heard from Klaus earlier, this isn't just doing it because it's a good and a right thing to do for our young people. There is significant sort of business benefits attached in this as well. And we know from some of the slides that Marina has showed, we have got gaps in a talent pipeline, and we do have aging workforces in a number of the different sectors. And as a result, you know, we need to prepare that future type pipeline. And I think one of the real benefits of the new approach and the new guarantee model is that there is a lot of flexibility, so employers can adapt within that. So they may struggle with placement opportunities, but they absolutely may be able to be involved in you know, sort of a group workplace visit. And we're trying, going back to that culture change, just by sharing this slide really, and I know there's a lot of information in here, but it's really just around looking at all of the different options that could be developed from employers to be able to share with those young people. And one thing, apologies, I didn't touch on in one of my earlier slides, what we're hearing more and more is, for a variety of different reasons, we will have students who are becoming disengaged within a school environment because pure academic pathways are not necessarily the thing for them. So when we've been talking to heads across schools as part of what we're doing in this space, it's around how we can use work experience to engage with those pupils, because we absolutely don't want to see that neat figure that Marina shared increasing, because we lose our talent pipeline if we're not actually engaging with those students who perhaps just need a little bit more of an idea in terms of where they could find themselves as part of their career. Next one, Marina. So I think this is just a little bit of maybe sort of a clearer idea with sort of better clarity in terms of what some of these different options could be. So if you move on, Marina. And what I would say actually, and you'll see at the bottom of that slide that Marina's just shared, there's a whole sort of opportunity around virtual work experience as well, because some sectors, a bit like Clarice mentioned, you can't really get younger people going in, but you can absolutely share what it feels like to work within that sector by actually having a virtual work experience. Not perfect, but at least it's something in terms of those students becoming more aware of what a day in the life of actually sort of feels like. Now, what I'm going to move on to is where some of these resources, where employers can go to get some of these resources and support as part of their whole education outreach activity, which of course work experience is a real critical element of it. So some of you may have heard of employer standards, and what it is basically is a tool that employers can engage with where they can assess where they are currently on their journey around education outreach. As you'll see, I'm not going to go through all the figures, but as you'll see in here, already nationally, we've now got 1,500 employers that have engaged with the tool. And what that does, if you pop onto the next one, Marina, when employers, oh, sorry, maybe I'm getting confused with my slides. It's the one that talks about the resources it unlocks. So I think in this, when you guys sort of hopefully will sort of engage in this particular tool, not only by going through the assessment, and I've shadowed somebody going through the assessment, not only does it help you really think about the things that you're already doing, and I guess celebrate what you're already getting up to, it also enables you to unlock a whole wealth of resource when you've completed the assessment. So a lot of sort of different resources around work experience get unlocked, but also that ability to benchmark across peers in terms of what other people are doing as well. So a plea for me, if I'm allowed, is really to, when you get these slides sent through, just click on the links and give it a go and see where you get to. Certainly all those that we have reached out to and engaged after they've done it, they absolutely said it's been a real benefit as they develop their outreach activity. And then what we ask for is employers sort of repeat that exercise on a yearly basis to basically sort of benchmark themselves, but also benchmark themselves against other peers. Sorry, Marina, you probably have to, yep, add another one. So just back one. So I just wanted to flag with you here, because touching on what I sort of said before around why should employers not only get engaged in work experience or education outreach, but the whole employer standards piece as well. Recently, there's been a new insight report that is gathering all of the information from all the assessments that took place between 24 and 25, and it's the insight report is written in a way around what business benefits do employers get in terms of engaging in all of this, and when you sort of hopefully download it, look through it, it's not a big report, you'll start to see where employers are indicating their recruitment costs have gone down because they've been able to sort of develop their pipeline, lots of different things. So again, another sort of plea is, if you get 5-10 minutes, just have a quick look through the headlines that are coming out of the report, but hopefully that's been a bit of a whistle-stop tour of work experience and employer standards, and I'll move back on to Marina in terms of an exciting event coming up.
Sorry. Most of you will be aware, I can see most people on the call are already signed up. If you're not signed up, please do. But we've got the Buck Skills Show coming up in just under a month's time now. It's the start of your journey of inspiring young people, I think, and it's that kind of broad brush approach to making sure that young people are inspired and aware of your industry, your business, where that sits, the routes into employment, the routes, the different kind of vocational route maybe that they could take, the different job roles, all of those things. That's what the Buck Skills Show is all about. Last year we had 7,000 young people, parents, job seekers, job changers, teachers, etc. attend the show. It's a really exciting event over 2 days. We have already got 44 schools signed up to it. And as I say, our evening event. So in the daytime, we've got school groups coming in. In the evening, on the Wednesday evening, we've got parents, job seekers, job changers. So a real opportunity for you to showcase your business and inspire young people. It is an interactive show. We ask all our businesses to bring along an activity. You can see there Countess Howe playing enormous, what's that game called? Operation Game. Those sorts of things which gets young people over to your stand. They have a little go at something and then they will interact with you and they will talk to you about your opportunities, about your industry, about the different roles, about the fact that if you're an engineering company, there are still creative roles there. There are finance roles. There are HR roles in every company. That's not something that maybe they know. I know we all know it, but it's important that the young people know about the different businesses that are available. And if they do go off to university, please come back to Bucks because there are some enormously great opportunities, as you know. So, has anybody got any questions? We've got about 10 minutes to take any questions from you.
Hi, Marina.
Hi there.
When does this happen? When do the schools release people to do this kind of stuff?
Anytime, anytime is the answer. So with enough notice, the schools can get this involved. Do you mean the actual work experiences?
Yeah, so if we wanted to say put on a week's work experience at our place and provide all these different skills and have really interactive time, when would we be able to do that? Because obviously they've got their normal studies going on at the school. So is there like a set time that they put aside so they know these kind of things are happening?
There isn't really a set time. There are preferable times in the school calendar. Probably summertime, end of the summer term is usually a favourite for schools. But I think the point with the work experience is that and the new modern approach is that it doesn't have to be 1 week of set work experience. It can be a drip feed of days. So depending on the sort of activity you'd want to do, would depend on that.
Okay, thank you.
I guess my part question, part query. So Nigel from SAS here. I've been involved in a number of these kind of things, but we've tended to work with third-party organisations to help, I guess, the coordination and the outreach with schools and colleges. So we fund a programme with the Talent Foundry. It's our chosen partner who go to schools and colleges nationwide. I've also registered personally with an organisation called Inspiring the Future that allows you to register your skills and capabilities and opportunities come through. Really reassuring to see the different kinds of work experience options and approaches available. I wasn't aware of those. And again, it's certainly something I'll be taking back to my HR function because I think there's more we could do in those shorter, sharper bursts than sort of somebody on for 1 or 2 week placement. The only other bit really is sort of about encouraging the schools to think sort of about their lead times, because many of us have to book time out of work to either attend sessions at the school or college or to organise events. And I find through some of the Inspiring the Future things that I'll get a request a week in advance of a planned day of activities that's just too short a notice. So I think to the previous comment about understanding when these things are happening, the earlier that we can be advised, the more likely we are to participate in them, because many large organisations have to go through a whole raft of approvals and organisation to be at the right place at the right time.
Yes, agreed. I mean, time is in the same way as in the schools. Schools do tend to plan things quite far ahead. Whether they communicate that well,
yep,
not so sure, but they do plan ahead. So, you know, for example, for the skills show, we will be fully booked by September. You know, for the March event, they need to have those in the diary, and if they could book in June the year before, they would do as well. And because we've now been doing the skills show for a number of years, and they know which week it is. It's always in the week of National Careers Week. They can do that future planning. So I think there is a capability there to plan ahead, and it's probably a communication issue rather than a planning issue.
Yep, cool.
So maybe we've got no questions because you're all sitting there planning your next work experience, I hope. But if you need any help with that, any support with that, the team are here to help you. We are doing some work, planning some work experiences for young people with most disadvantage. So if you want to be part of that, let us know. There's a lot going on in this space. There's a lot of requirement. We need more businesses to come on board to offer up those opportunities for us, so that we can help the schools, help the students. Any other questions? Oh, Becky.
Hiya, Becky from EKFB. So this year we are planning to go backwards a little bit towards COVID times and do a hybrid work experience. So we're doing Monday and Friday on one of our sites, and then Tuesday to Thursday online via Google Classrooms, using Futures for All. So presumably once we've kind of got it all set up and established, we can come to you with our dates, and you'd help to share that out with the schools, to kind of get them applying, because we've got fixed dates, and we can share those with you, and you can kind of distribute that to the schools because you've got a wider reach with the schools than we have. Absolutely, Becky.
We have regular communication with all the schools. We send out a parent newsletter via schools that goes out to, you know, all of our schools. They then send it on to parents and young people, and they share on social media. We've also got a direct communication that goes to careers leaders in schools, so we can choose the channel that is more appropriate. We've also got our website, bucksskillshub.org. We can post opportunities on there. There's a lot of information on there. Please do have a look at that website. I think it's really useful for businesses and young people. You can post work experience opportunities on there as well. So that there's lots of different ways that we can reach the schools and parents and young people. We encourage parents to look on that website as well. There is lots and lots of information on there.
Perfect. Thank you.
I'll just pop that in the chat actually, so that you've got, people have got that URL.
And all I would say, apologies, my Teams crashed.
Sorry.
With everything that we're hearing from both from our sort of discussions with schools and employers, and on this session as well, I don't think anything's wrong at the moment, as long as we're very aware of quality in terms of what we're delivering. And I think you know, sort of trying, a bit like Becky's just mentioned, trying different approaches is where we all are at the moment. And the culture bit that I mentioned, you know, I think it was picked up in a question around what is the best time for schools. I think we're nicely trying to encourage schools that, you know, sort of a fixed week every year doesn't necessarily work, because it means we could have a whole load of schools going out to employers for the same week within the year, and it just causes challenges. So that's going back to that flexibility approach. You know, we all need to be looking at how we can do things slightly differently to try and make it work better for all of us.
Sarah?
Did you just say my name, Sarah?
Yes.
I
Sarah,
am.
sorry.
Hi, yeah, Jill, just what you were just mentioning there. So I've already reached out to the construction college in Aylesbury. So I've got a plan in place with them, which is great. But I really need to start reaching out to the secondary schools. So we're on the Sealer project in Aylesbury. So we'll be finishing up at the end of this summer. So the autumn time, the work will be winding down probably after sort of August. So we really want to make sure we can try and get everybody in that can get in. So what you just mentioned about that week in the year where they send them all out to try and find work, I've already started planning in my mind, thinking, right, I know which schools I want to approach. And then wouldn't it be great if they actually chose a different week? Because I could then put into my schedule that, say, for instance, I had the Grange on their week, I could have selected few to come. And then the next week, say, for instance, John Collett and Wendover, I'd have a selected few to come. And then I can see more people and spend more time with them over 2 to 3 weeks, rather than if I can't have tons of them here in 1 week. So it's exactly what you just said. So hopefully once I start reaching out to the schools, that they've all started talking and having different weeks for work experience.
And I think, yeah, that sounds brilliant, Sarah. And a bit like Marina mentioned as well, and Becky, always reach out to the hub as well, because we're, you know, it's that triangle again, isn't it? And the only other thing, and to sort of highlight, is in the discussions we've been having with the schools, like we've touched on, you know, students who for whatever reason may be having their own challenges, and you know, may not be as engaging within the school, sometimes there is greater flexibility within the schools in terms of those smaller cohorts. And we certainly saw last year when we did do a construction visit with a group of students who you would say was in that kind of category, had a huge impact on them, and their behavior was impeccable when they were actually out on site. So that's, you know, it's a case of loads of different offers, and how can we sort of mix and match to then sort of make it work for the employer, but for the school and the students as well. But definitely reach out, Sarah. I'll follow up with you after this meeting as well. Fabulous, thank you.
Rachel?
Yes, hi everybody. So I know when we haven't really talked much about T levels because they're really kind of a college thing, but Sarah, I wonder if I could have your details, please, because I've got 6 civil engineering T level students coming for 2 weeks, and actually they're Aylesbury based, so it'd be fantastic if I could bring them to have a look at you. Would that be possible? Sorry, my phone's going on.
Yeah, so I just switched my mic back off. Yeah, as long as they've got in mind that it will be work experience, they can come and see the site. We can talk them through stage by stage, as long as they understand that we can't offer them a job at the end of it.
Yeah, no. Because don't worry, we have plenty of jobs
good
in hand. But what I'm looking for is to try and enrich their time with us by exposing them to other employers and other sites. Because we do all do things slightly differently, and it's just really interesting to go and have a nose and see what other people are doing, isn't it? So yeah, definitely. I'll put my email in the chat so anybody can contact me with any questions after this as well. Amazing.
Rachel, if we can help with that from an HS2 site as well.
Oh yes, please.
Yes, please.
I mean, the thing is, Aylesbury College have never run a civil engineering T level before. And they've got 13 students on the course, and we're having 6 of them, and we're supporting their whole 315 hours. So all support is very much appreciated.
Yeah, no problem.
Great. Well, lucky students.
Thank you.
We're just at past. thank you very, very much for attending this morning. I hope you found it really useful. I hope you go away and reflect on the offer of work experience. Please come to the skills show. We can still take a couple more businesses if you'd like to sign up, if you're not already signed up. And please do consider the employer standards. It's a really, really good way of benchmarking where you're at and accessing a whole wealth of resources that will help you with your outreach program. So just there now. So thank you so much for coming, everybody, and enjoy the rest of your day.